Figured I'd just give a few tips concerning the belt on Jeep Cherokees. More or less just easier ways to access it. Now, I don't know what all years this works for, because I know at some point they did change the way the accessory drive was routed. And I don't know if the tensioner is the same. I know it's a manual tensioner on all of them, but I don't know if it's exactly the same when it comes to where the tensioner is located at and how it's adjusted. But the first tip is, and this is a tip that I love myself. Before I realized this, I used to take this whole front, I guess you would say, radiator support, and I'd remove the radiator fan and all that to actually access the tensioner. Well, what I didn't realize was you can actually get a wrench, you know, I don't know what you call these, but they got the bend, they're offset. It's a 15 millimeter you need, and you can reach down there, and I'll grab the flashlight. You can reach down there, and you can actually fit on the head of that bolt with that wrench without having to take this whole accessory this whole radiator shroud off. And that comes in handy. It's very useful. But the other bolt's also pretty easy to access. Now, it can be a pain in the ass if you try to just take it and put a socket and a wrench right on it. So what not a socket and a wrench, a socket and a ratchet right on it. So what I do, I just get a whole bunch of extensions and I put them together, and you can actually slide it right in between the temperature sensor and the motor block, engine block, and voila. That's all you do. Loosen up that bolt down there, tension your belt as necessary, which it can be tricky to get it just right because this does not have an automatic tensioner, obviously. It's a manual tensioner. They're a pain in the ass. Why they exist, I don't know, but, you know, kind of stuck with it if you have it. I'm sure there's some kind of spec on how to actually tension it. You'd have to look in the service manual. But, honestly, I've never really tensioned it to spec, and I've never had any problems. I put it to where it's relatively tight. You have a little bit of give. You don't want to put it too tight because you'll end up screwing up the pulleys or the bearings, you know, different things. But if you put it too loose, everything will just squeal, especially when you turn on your AC or if you have a high load on your alternator. So yeah, it's just a couple of tips. And the only other thing I would say, make sure that you have a belt routing diagram underneath the hood, because if not, if you throw that belt in the middle of nowhere and you can't figure it out, you are pretty much screwed. Because you can put this belt a million ways, but there's really only one way that'll work, where it'll actually grab correctly and spin everything correctly. So yeah. Until next update, later.